update. Everybody, it seems as if everybody was involved in this cover-up. Let's put up the picture full mass. It's a damn shame. This is an update. The parties listed who covered up for McMahon and his alleged sexual assault, sex trafficking, and everything else. The parties listed as the various anonymous corporate officers in the sex trafficking lawsuit against the company: former chair Vince McMahon and former talent relations executive John Laurinaitis have finally been named, officially been named. WWE President Nick Khan, co-CEO Stephanie McMahon, COO Brad Blum, and former executive Brian Nurse have been identified as the corporate officers named in the sex trafficking lawsuit. The federal lawsuit filed in January by former company employee Janel Grant accuses McMahon's daughter, Stephanie, Khan, Blum, and Nurse of being instrumental to a scheme where Grant was employed in a completely undefined role. In a statement to Front Office Sports, attorney for Janel Grant, Ann Collis, said, quote, "Yes, I can confirm that these names are correct," end quote. Blum, Khan, Stephanie McMahon, and Nurse have not been accused of any sexual misconduct in the lawsuit. Instead, the high-profile WWE figures are accused of being complicit in McMahon and Laurinaitis' acts, which may make the company liable under federal anti-trafficking law. The suit says that McMahon groomed Janel Grant while she was grieving the death of her parents and had her hired into a fake job with the company's legal department in May of 2019. Subsequent to that, it says she was subjected to extreme cruelty and degradation, including McMahon defecating on her during group sex. And he and his co-partner in this, her in the WWE offices, with the abuse only ending in 2022. This left her, according to the suit, crippled, both physically and mentally, including from debilitating symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder and suicidal ideation. With millions watching and many people benefiting from this program called Indisputable, we just need 1% of the viewers to become a paid member so we can continue to bring this content to you. Now back to the show. It gets darker, ladies and gentlemen. McMahon presented Khan and Blum to Grant as his key fixers, according to the suit. The first time McMahon met her, it says, March 19th, he promised Grant, who had minimal work history, that his office would reach out to arrange a meeting with Blum, who was the executive vice president in charge of operations at that time. A week later, the suit says she met with Blum. He hardly asked any questions, she said, and before long, she had been hired into a $75,000 a year job in the legal department. In February 2020, the suit says, McMahon told Grant that Blum had warned him, quote, that there were a lot of rumors circulating about the relationship. Immediately after this, she was transferred to another department. The second of those two people was Khan. According to the suit, in March 2021, Grant told McMahon that Khan had responded to her introducing herself in a corridor by telling her he knew exactly who she was. Later that day, the suit says McMahon told her that he held a meeting with Khan and Blum and informed them of the nature of their relationship. McMahon told her, the suit says, that the two men had voiced concerns to him and inquired whether Grant could be trusted. A WWE spokesperson denies this conversation ever happened. McMahon, the suit says, told Grant that the two expressed concern but were ultimately supportive, end quote. The next day, the suit says, Blum told her that she was being transferred to the talent relations department where she would report to Laurinaitis, with whom McMahon had months before pressured her into group sex at McMahon's condo. She was, going forward, the suit says, expected to sexually service Laurinaitis at his hotel and his office. The suit alleges that their sexual exploitation continued for another year. It also says that during negotiations over the NDA, Grant included Khan and Blum in a list of people whose roles should be addressed in the agreement due to their, quote, knowledge of the relationship, end quote. Though the suggestion was rejected. The suit does not explicitly make any claims about whether Khan, Blum, or the other two corporate officers knew of any alleged acts of sexual violence or cruel and degrading treatment. The person identified in the suit as corporate officer number 3 is, according to FOS reporting that Grant's lawyer confirmed, was WWE executive Stephanie McMahon. Grant, the suit says, attended meetings of WWE's executive committee. At one of these meetings, the suit says, Stephanie McMahon, who is described as knowing, quote, of other instances of Vince McMahon engaging in inappropriate sexual conduct, end quote, motioned Grant to sit near her. 3 months after the NDA between McMahon and Grant was signed. In 2022, Stephanie McMahon and WWE's chief brand officer announced she was taking a leave of absence from the company. A month later, the Wall Street Journal reported on the probe by the WWE board of directors into payments made by Vince McMahon involving NDAs where several former female employees and performers. After his subsequent resignation as CEO and chair of the board, she became interim CEO and chair. In early 2023, her father seized control of the board ahead of WWE's eventual merger with the Ultimate Fighting Championship under the auspices of Ari Emanuel's endeavor. She resigned days later. All right, put him up full mass. Not named in the lawsuit is Paul Triple H Levitt, Stephanie's husband, who currently serves as WWE's head of creative and CCO. The person identified as corporate officer number 4, according to FOS reporting, which Grant's lawyer did confirm, is Brian Nurse, formerly general counsel and head of WWE's legal department. According to the suit, on May 9th, 2019, 8 months after he'd been fired, he offered Grant a job 3 hours after having called her to discuss a legal role. The next day, the suit says Vince McMahon told her that he had ordered Nurse to offer Grant the job. And then McMahon sexually assaulted her for the first time, putting his hand down her pants without consent. The suit described the work environment in the legal department as distressing to the point that Grant was openly experiencing panic attacks in the office. She was never onboarded, it says, or given any clear responsibilities. And Nurse was warm with other colleagues, but cold with her before becoming openly hostile. Behavior his staff noticed, discussed with Grant, and in some cases, emulated. Nurse, the suit says, would even stop and change directions if he saw her in the hallway. And he told at least one other executive that he knew or suspected the relationship between Grant and McMahon was sexual. In February 2020, Grant was transferred to another division. In November 2020, Nurse was, the suit says, terminated or asked to resign, making him one of a number of employees it claims were, quote, forced to resign or let go if they knew of McMahon's exploits and failed to assist, support, and or facilitate them. Not long afterward, the suit says Grant was transferred back to the legal department before ultimately being transferred back to Laurinaitis' talent relations department because her presence in the legal department was, McMahon told her, making it difficult to hire a new top lawyer. Response from WWE. WWE takes Ms. Grant's allegations very seriously and has no tolerance for any physical abuse or unwanted physical contact. A WWE spokesperson said in a statement to Front Office Sports, neither Nick Khan nor Brad Blum, prior to the lawsuit being filed on January 25th, 2024, were aware of any allegation by Ms. Grant that she was the victim of abuse or unwanted physical contact, nor does the complaint allege that either had knowledge of such. WWE's statement continued. When you look at this in the full context of other complaints, of other cover-ups that have been taking place for years, you find a tapestry, a narrative that is quite clear. Now you have actual names, and according to the narrative, you have a significant level of cover-up. The saga continues. Sharon, very sad story. What say you?
Here's what I say. The WWE statement is a lie. The WWE, if these allegations are true, are human traffickers. The organization is involved in human trafficking. That's what it is. And in order for us to understand that this is about power, you have to look at who's involved here. Famous, rich. I mean, a number of these people can perhaps have relationships, however they want them, gotten honestly. Yep. We don't police adult behavior. But the fact that they wanted to use this power dynamic that is far more serious and far more powerful than what we see in the ring, where fake energy plays out, okay? This is despicable. And anyone who's involved, including Stephanie McMahon, if the allegations are true, I think money should change hands at a high rate, sure. But I also think criminality should be on the table.
Yep, that's right. Well said. We will bring updates as we have been doing.